This project was aimed at creating as high resolution a record of the climate of the past as we could, specifically in the Yucatan Peninsula during the final 200 years of the classic Maya civilization. We were able to do that with a stalagmite that we found. So over the last 200 years of the classic civilization, we found eight droughts, which were 3 consecutive years long or longer, and the longest one was indeed 13 years long, without a single intervening wet season, if you like. Stalagmites are one of many what you might call natural archives. So items without the Earth, from within the Earth system that are able to record through time various chemical signals. Ice cores are a classic one that many people have heard about that we're able to use to reconstruct climate on the timescales of ice ages. Stalagmites record information in the same way through various chemical proxies. Well, the archaeological evidence is that it aligns fairly well with the abandonment of sites. They the Maya would carve what are called stelae, so large sort of ceremonial inscriptions on rock that, for example, welcomed new leaders, religious events, and that all stopped. So it's indicative of a decline in the strict fabric of society around about this time, which I think implies to me that the stress on the society induced by these events was enough that the social order was disrupted, and things like strict building traditions and maybe even the social hierarchy itself was uh, declined and maybe even ceased entirely. We're very clear in our view that this is part of a larger picture of societal decline, and that while drought can instigate things like famine, which can lead to civil unrest, maybe war, the collapse of structures, it can also be something that societies are able to withstand against a backdrop of other issues.
It's doing great.
It's a 45-minute walk from the surface to the main chamber where the stalagmite is from. It's quite flat. The way that all these caves are is that they're shallow and low-lying along the water table. So you're only about 15 meters below the surface, which is actually ideal for our paleoclimate reconstruction. But then once you make your way in, that you have to crawl in some places. If as a tourist you do go there, you would have to crawl as well. But then once you're into the large chamber at the end, we basically spent our time there setting up monitoring equipment, gathering samples of water, drip water, standing water, measurements of, for example, the level of CO2 in the air, all parameters that you need to know to be able to understand the context in which the stalagmite grew, and therefore be confident in your inferences about the past. But you go and spend all day in there. It's about 30 degrees year round, and the humidity is 100% in there as a consequence, I suppose, of the water cycling through, constantly dripping, forming stalagmites. So it's not a particularly pleasant environment, but it is beautiful. It's really beautiful, yeah.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download Metro TV Extend sekarang.